Hi there, my name is Very Innovate and my creators have been making Kigurumi masks for more than 17 years already, and today we shall share our experience in making looks to hold together full-head Kigurumi masks. So let's get started. First of all, I need to notice that full-head masks usually consist of two parts, maybe more parts, but it's usually the facial part or the front part and the rear part, back part. There are different places for seeing all the mask. It can be just a face or half mask or just a smaller back part. But anyway, you need two parts to be able to be separable, so you can put that mask on and shut those parts close together. And you need something to hold those parts together during performance. And the thing is that element, that mechanism or whatever needs to allow the mask to be easily unlockable, openable at the backstage. But at the same time, those mechanisms need to securely keep the mask closed during the performance, so you will not lose your face. Sometimes you know, and you may know today, that a lot of masks have the locks that are actually lockable. So it's just not just a simple mechanism, but a mechanism with the key. But it's really not very practical. So a lot of people who have those elements, who have lockable locks, do not lock them and just close the latch, something like that. Because again, it's not very practical to have your mask locked unless you actually want that. And also, there is some reasons. For example, some years ago, one person asked me to make the pretty visible luggage locks, luggage clasps that would be visible on the mask surface with a visible keyhole, so they could just close the mask. And if someone would ask them to open the mask during an art fair or a performance or like that, they can just point out to the locks, and so there would be no reason for the person to continue asking to take the mask off. So, and they actually didn't want to actually lock the mask, but they wanted to have that visible locking element to just be able to get out of some awful situations. And for the mask, so or the three-quarter format is usually not necessary at all, because you can just make the paddings in a way that the mask will fit in place with no problem. And masks like 1/3 or 1/2 or 2/3 masks can benefit from having something, some straps or some locking elements, so they would be kept on the head of performance. And so the first I will shortly tell about that. Oh, one more thing. There will be no comparison of different locks or different lock types at the end of this lecture, because Well, because the main choice, the main artistic choice you are going to make is then primarily the artistic choice whether you want the looking element to be visible or not, and whether you want that looking element to be easily accessible or not from the uh, from the point of view of someone outside. So that's the basic, the main choice you're going to make, and I will just show you different methods of this, like that. And first, let's quickly mention the masks of 2/3 or 1/2 mask, and this is the straps. It can be a belt or a rubber band or strap that is secured with some holes or some slits or maybe some elements inside the mask. And so it's usually added at the final stages of assembly, and you need either a slit of the mask surface or some kind of a buckle or something like that inside. And it's also useful to add a buckle on the straps and add a plastic there to secure that strap together for easy access or something like that. The other method for those kinds of the mask is the soft back part with a zipper, so it can be integrated with the wig, or it can be just a soft part and the wig would be on top of that. And this method usually installed later on the late stage of the mask making. So you make the face, you paint it, etc., and then you attach all that stuff and add the zipper. And the zipper runner can be just a simple zipper runner, or it can be the lockable zipper, or it can be, for example, you can also add some metal rings at the end of the zipper to extra secure it, something like that. So basically whatever you can imagine in this stage. The next thing, and I can actually demonstrate it, is some plastic suspension. I've mentioned it in other lectures about mask shells, etc. On the paddings. Last padding, there are also other lectures, and there is a playlist and install the below, but again, this is like that. And why did I mention it? Is because usually most of the time you won't be able to put the mask on and took it off when the belt from this plastic belt is tightened, and you need to ease it or even just open it up and then put the mask on and then tighten that element. And then the mask gets closed on you and you won't be able to take it off without again losing this part. So that's this kind of masks. And now we move to the full face. And the first thing I want to mention about full face is the overlapping elements. So what is overlapping elements? As you can see, there are, let's take this mask shell, for example, and this mask too. Well, so as you can see, there are some overlaps, like this overlap that goes inside the mask, and this overlap that also goes inside the mask. So you can see when the mask gets closed, those stuff get ends up inside. And why this overlap is important is because when you do not have this stuff, then the parts of the mask can easily slide along each other. And to prevent this, you can use these overlaps, or there is another option is to use some pins, so some pinhole connection. So you have a pin on one side of the mask and the hole on the other side of the mask, and when you connect those parts of the mask, they just get one inside the other and keeps the mask in place in two directions. So the one direction is the direction of the lock, and the other two directions are either these overlaps or pinhole connections. And those are usually made at the post-processing stage of the mask shell, but you also can design them during 3D printing as well. If you go to 3D print the mask or place some holes for the pins, design this kind and use the metal pins like that. So, and you can place that in alternating manner across the seam, or pins can be just one side and also the other side. So this is pretty useful. Also, the overlaps in the rear area, for example, here you can see that that here there is the overlap and it has this curved edge. So without that curved edge, this edge would be pretty sharp, and we add this overlap to smoothen that edge, so it will not tear or pierce through feather tie or your skin. Also pretty useful. And now let's move to actual elements that can keeps the mask in place. And the first thing is clasps. Clasps are pretty common on professional masks, on Super Sentai masks, on different stuff, because, well, it's pretty easy to place, it's easy to control, it's easy to find when you want to take your mask off, and well, it may be a bit complicated to close them, but the rest is pretty easy, convenient. So, for example, here you can see that we have clasps here. We just close the mask, and then place the clasp closed, and the mask is closed. And when you need to open it, you unclasp it and it's open. There are different kinds of clasps. So the one of the smaller clasps, like here, or for example, Chinese makers prefer to use them clasps for suitcases. This is one of the clasps from there. You can see there is a hole for a lock. So again, another way, but those luggage clasps are usually bulky. And what we can here, for example, smaller kind of clasp, a very flat one. Also, the clasps that let's try so you can see. And then the clasp. Also, when I was restoring one of resin masks, I use this clasp. So you can see pretty designer's kind of clasp. And yes, this one is also, this one has spring loaded to get it closed, and a keyhole. So there are a variety of clasps for that reason, and you can find something that would fit your design. And also, a noticeable thing is that sometimes to make the clasp flush to the mask surface, there is it can be deepened inside the mask, so you can design that. So the dedicated resource on the surface, so it's smooth towards the surface. And what you need to know, the first thing you need to know is that the position of those stuff, because some people just place them right here above the ears, because, well, it's common and it's a mistake, because it makes what more stressful for the clasp elements. You actually need to place them behind the ears, or if you have a hinge on top of the mask, then you will need to lower them as low as possible. Well, maybe you cannot put them as low as possible, and because of artistic reasons. So you can, so the place behind the ears is the most safe option to reduce the amount of stress those clasps will have, and the mask in that area will bear. So this is an important part to make the mask live longer. And again, there is a video where I criticize the 3D printed mask design. Well, because I was asked to print the mask from someone else's design, and I decided to make a video criticizing what that mask from the engineering point of view. So I didn't criticize it from the point of view of how it looks like, it's the artistic design, but the engineering point of view, how you can make more, how you could make it better if you know the stuff that I knew about all this stuff. Simply same design, same material, same everything, but last longer. Again, this is that element. So this is about the clasp. Oh, one more thing. One of my friends who have the mask with a mask that was printed from a Chinese manufacturer, they have this clasp right here above the ears, and that clasp was resting in a recesses. But there is a problem that because it's the edge of the wig, the hair gets stuck inside the clasp, and it was a suitcase clasp, something like this kind of design. Well, a bit different, but the important thing is that you have this bracket pretty tight around the hook element. And the hair tips get stuck inside the clasp, preventing it from reliably closing, so you have to keep the hair out of the clasp when your clothing is so. That's some inconvenience, but you need to know that when full-shot masks with the seam, have the seam and hair, if it is just a regular wig, your hair loves to try to get into the seam anyway, so you need to somehow manage your hair and keep them out of the seam anyway, so now let's move to another variant. This is a way to close the mask basically in the same way as with the clasps, but this is the straight bucket straps or motorcycle bucket straps. So, for example, this thing is a motorcycle bucket. Like this. So you see this rod and just open and close it. And this kind of buttons are used for either the same reason, to close the motorcycle helmet, and Kigurumi masks and motorcycle helmets have a lot of in common. Also, some of that buckles are used for ski boots or for roller skates or something like that. Again, the other variant of a motorcycle helmet buckle. And this one can be tightened, so it has different types. So it can be loose or can be tightened. This one actually from the rollerblade, and you can also see it has several steps. And it's also easily open. Also this is from skis. Or either rollerblades as well, so you can see it's a pretty long strap and it's also adjustable. And it has even a special lever to tighten it. So, a pretty wide variety. And what is good about this kind of element? So, basically it performs the same, it has the same functionality as the functionality and as the regular clasps. The main difference is this, that there are several, it can be tightened in different ways. It can be tighter or looser, so you can use it with, for example, if there are several people to wear the mask and you can adjust the mask tightness with this stuff. Also, The other good thing is that they are usually made of plastic instead of metal, and it is just a bit easier to prime and to paint with the same color as the rest of the mask. And in any other method is basically the same, so nothing more to tell here. Let's move next. This idea was first proposed by Tubular, and also I found it with the works of Saki 10590798 on Twitter. And this idea is based that you have ears as a separate parts. You have the front part of the mask with some small hole. The rear part of the mask that overlaps from inside and also have a hole in the same spot, and you put the ear into those holes, and this locks the front and back part together. And you usually put the ear at an angle and then rotate it. And to keep the ear in place, there is a magnet or some small knob or some torque hole connection that just keeps the ear into position until you snap it off the position. So this mechanism has the most benefit of this mechanism is that it is completely invisible, and also I think it's pretty clever. I'm jealous that I wasn't it wasn't my idea actually. So this idea is pretty good. There is just one flaw that you need to know about is that, well, not mentioned that hair can try to get into the gap between the parts of the mask. It's a bit commonplace, and here in particular, why the problem is that since the ear is a separate element, there is some gap between the ear and the mask surface, and hair can try to get into that gap and get stuck there. Well, it's not a big problem because you need to take the ears off when you take the mask off anyway, so the biggest inconvenience may be in a situation when you put the wig on and then you hit the ears inside and they may cut some hair. But usually people put the mask on first and hair the last. So it's not a big deal. It's a clever technique and so take note. Again, as those technique and the other techniques with clasps, buckles requires you to disengage each side of the mask separately. So you to close and to open it separately by touch or by the help of someone else. So this is. And another technique is to have some tubular thumb locks. This is usually locks that are used in post boxes or something like that. You can see. But this one is, as you can see, it is with the handle. There are locks with the key, and by the way, this is 18 millimeters in diameter and 16 millimeters deep, and you will want to use the 16 millimeters or 15 millimeters deep, because the smaller this size, the better. But I would discourage you from using the smaller locks that are 10 millimeters in diameter, because I've tried to that locks in some of my design and they blow pretty fast. So I switched to this more robust stuff, and I also prepared this special hook. So it's not the standard hook, it's a hook that I designed and cut out of metal, of 2 millimeter metal sheet. And this works basically like you close the mask and then you rotate the hook in position. There is an interesting thing that, as you can see, these locks have two sides that are shaped off. So it's circular, and then with the thread, and then some shade of surfaces, and you would want to put them on the one side to put those shaped surfaces vertically, and on the other side to put those horizontally. So that when you close the mask, both layers would be oriented the same way. So in the one, and they would rotate also the same way. So it would rotate like this from one side, and from the other side it also would rotate like this. So keep that in mind when designing these locks. Also, by the way, if you would actually want to use the locks with teeth, then you need to know that there are only 1,000 key variations. So you can just take two keys or two locks with the same key and place it on either side of the mask, and you have just one key for both locks. And well, here you can see how it looks on the mask. Pretty small, not very noticeable. So that's it. And we move to the next variant of locks. This is the push-in pins, something like that. So it can be a self-locking button, indexing pin, or something like that. And how does it work? You have this pin on one side of the mask, and you have the dedicated hole or dedicated edge on the other side of the mask. And for example, this is the pin, and this is the edge of the mask. So at one side of the mask, when it gets closed, the pin pushed down and then gets to the gap and locks inside. And when you need to open it, you just get the pin out. So you get out. And for example, if you use the indexing pin, then there is a spring inside, and the spring can be pretty tough. So you would want to disassemble the pin, change the spring for the more loose one, and assemble it back. So for example, and here on the shimmering mask, you see those pins from either side. And in this case, this is some kind of these small blocks. So you can see this is the lock. push the pin, and you see that it gets out on the other side, and it is locked. And to open it, you may want to find the key and to rotate it. Again, it is small, so and you release the pin. There are also larger variants of these locks for the larger keys, and so those locks are more reliable than this small one. And also for the indexing pins, you can see there is the rings, so that you can use to add some extra wires or something like the border tube to move that from elsewhere. And this method, this is the next method. This is actually my method of closing the mask. So how does it look? How does it work? Well, you can see here that we have these hooks on the side. So these hooks that gets engaged into these locks. So and the thing is that you can see. So if you want to open the locks, you need to move the key or to move the lever, and the locks get open. Just disengage. How does it look from inside? So this is how it looks from the inside. As you can see, the hook. So see, here is the hook from the one side of the mask, and here is the hook from the other. So when the mask gets closed, it just gets pushed inside and locks in place. And it has pretty good tolerance. It's about half a millimeter or even less. So this is the more complete assembly. So you see this lever, for example, the standard cam block on the other side. This element, this blue is the bolting tool. So to open it, we just move it. And because this tube is usually secured inside the mask and the lock also secured inside the mask, there is no space between it. So move the lever. For demonstration, I put the lever. You can see, and now I can disengage the mask. And usually the mask gets disengaged as soon as these pin hooks are released. And also, this is the side of the size. It's pretty thin. It's about just 4 millimeters thick, and can be installed during the later stages. So you just glue this nut inside the mask, and then place it, and then the lock can be removed and changed to other things. Also, there there is another design for this mask, and in this mask there is another design. As you can see, it's more simpler. So you can move this with this pin. So this pin is the only thing that is outside with the small pin. So the rest of the lock is completely hidden, and you can see this hook, and it engages with. Oh, sorry. And this, and it gets engaged with this. This pin or this screen. And again, as you can see, the mask is specified inside tolerances. And also almost nothing on the surface. And also when the mask is on the head, when you open it, it gets pushed enough from the side to instantly get open. Well, so that's what is my operation. By the way, here there are another type of locks that I found more a long time ago. Just a small padlocks with the sideways keyhole, and because they have the keyhole not at the bottom of the padlock but at the side, I was able to put them in the mask and just use them that way. So again, what about this element? Well, unlike the previous variants of this mechanism is spring locked, and what does it mean? It means that you do not need any tool or key, etc. to close the mask. When you close the mask shut together, it gets closed shut when you just connect the front and back sides. And you need the tool or key or to pull the lever if there is just a lever, only when you want to take the mask off. And also this stuff is completely hidden inside the mask, so well, nothing spoils the way how the mask gets on and off. Now let's move further, and this is magnets. Well, during the course of mask making history, there was several attempts to implement magnets into the masks as a locking element. And well, there were some difficulties. The first difficulty is that you need those magnets on the mask both to be strong and weak. Why? When you perform on stage or go out or do some stunts, etc., you move a lot, and you can move very weirdly. And the magnets need to be strong enough to not to open. So you will not lose your face on stage, for example, or in the public. But when the performance is over and you go backstage or home, etc., you need to open your mask, and you do not want to have to implement too much force to your mask so it will not break. And usually if you have a very strong magnet that can hold your mask in place during performance, it introduces too much stress to the mask itself when you want to take the mask off. And if you make it less strong, then you have the opposite problem. The mask can just open in front of the public and you lose your face or your head or something like that. But magnets still can be useful because magnets can help you to close your mask, to position different parts of your mask together. So, for example here, there are not just clasps but also magnets. So you can see at the bottom of the seam there are magnets, and they're placed as low as possible. Because again, the lower they're placed, the less force they have to endure. So when the mask is closed, well, it stays closed. But too much force and it gets open. So you close the mask, magnet gets engaged, so it stays in place, it aligns itself, and then you use the clasp to secure those elements. So this is useful in this way as well. So what's next? Right. This is another something way to close your mask, and well, electronic disengaging or engaging mechanism. Well, some Chinese makers, some Chinese mask makers introduced electronics into masks. Well, for example, the catfish have their mask, actually two masks that are opened with a key card. Well, I think this is a terrible idea, and the reason is that in case of some electronic failure, the electronic elements are inside the mask, and if they will fail, you either get stuck inside the mask without the way to open it, or the mask will get immediately open when it's supposed to be still shut closed. Well, it's not a big deal if you get stuck inside the mask, because usually these masks are 3D printed and you can knock your head in the wall several times to get free, but well, it's really disappointing to lose your mask because the emitting mechanism gets jammed or shut down, etc., because well, it gets too wet, and some sweat gets into the mechanism, the electronics, and short-cut it, or some battery failure, or it gets unpaired with your smartphone, something like that. Because electronics is not as reliable as mechanics in this way, and if you really want such kind of scenarios in your life, then you probably would have the mechanical locks on your mask and this electronic to use somewhere else at the second stage. So again, this variant is well pretty controversial. Now let's move to the version of how to close the mask. And this one is with flaps again. I remind you that I was talking about flaps in the context of aligning front and back parts of the mask together to prevent them moving side to side. But it also can make those flaps larger. This is, for example, one of many units masks. And you can see, that's actually going for repair. And so you can see there is this pretty large indent on the side of the mask. And on the front side, you can see this flap with this pin. And of course, you can see also another flap here. This small flap. So the front and back part of the mask gets since it's broken, you can see this pretty clear how the flaps work. This flap, this small flap, and this flap, how they work together. So they connect and get into position, and the mask is closed. So mask gets closed, and it stays closed, but this one will not stay closed because you need the seconds. The front has to be complete, but if it's complete, it gets here, it gets here, it stays here, and do this pretty fine. In the same way, the housing of electronic devices or different boxes are made together and keep together, and when you because it's not very tight and very strict and there is not much friction, you also can disassemble it pretty easily. And of course, benefit of this is also that there is no hint on how the mask gets open or closed. There are also several elements that can be used for this. For example, some buttons, the buttons for clothing hanging, or some hooks for clothing, for lingering. This stuff can be also used to keep the mask elements together. And also in one of my first masks, we have just a thread. The thread was glued to the front part of the mask and then fed through the rear part of the mask. So there was some short tubes in the rear part of the mask, and then the thread gets out of the rear part of the mask, so gets out under the wig, and you need to just tie a knot on the back of your head to keep those parts together. I also tried some jewelry stuff, or jewelry kind of stuff, or jewelry locks for jewelry, so it was a not easy way to keep those stuff, get those stuff together because it was tight, and with hands inside a tie, it is not an easy task to, even if you are pretty dexterous, to connect those tiny parts. But anyway, those more exotic. And these parts, they're specially designed. Or other parts, clasps, hidden links, something like that, is a more common, very more common idea that you can use in your mask making work. So again, there is no comparison of this method because depending on your artistic choice and your manufacturing method, it's usually just one or two ways, two options you can take from this, and different manufacturing method, different goals, different ideas can dictate you what you will choose. For example, the stage performance would rather be the motorcycle clasps, and for some some artistic performances, you may use the different approaches, something like hidden inside the mask, like pins or hidden locks, etc. So there are also several ways that I didn't describe here in detail, like gluing or, well, for example, hot glue is actually you you can actually hot gluing that hot glue is a disassemble is the connection that can be disassembled. For example, well, if you use a lot of hot glue, that's a joke, or duct tape or something like that, but it's pretty, well, it's more for loose or loose. Well, this stuff, hidden locks that I introduced, and of course you can design your own variants of that, or the clasps are basically the go-to choices for you, and yeah, so this is what I wanted to detail. Again, then this presentation will be in the link down below. There are another videos dedicated to Kigurumi mask making techniques and the methods and different aspects of Kigurumi masks, so you can watch them. And well, so thank you for being today with me, and I'll see you next time. You can suggest different ideas, and of course you can suggest different things to uncover the next time. So thank you for being today with me. See you. Bye bye.